So this is very special. We actually started the recording because, all right. Hello, welcome.
Sláinte.
I'm sorry?
Sláinte, Irish for good luck, good health.
Sláinte? Sláinte?
Sláinte.
Oh, I never heard that word. I like good health. In fact, I say very often. L'chaim. Well, I say sei gesund.
Sei gesund.
Sei gesund.
Yeah, much better. Sei gesund.
Yiddish language. And Verushka, pronounce it, listen. Franceschi, I don't want to pronounce it improperly. You probably could say good health in 463 languages.
I don't know about that, but...
Because you've lived in many different places over the years.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my father was in the Foreign Service, so I actually grew up moving every 2 years. Spent some time in Japan and Africa, Italy, Germany, Denmark, just to name a few countries.
And health is important in all those places, right?
Yeah, of course.
Health is the wealth, right? And the more you can focus on being healthy and happy. Happy is another good word.
Especially nowadays that there will be no health insurance and we're all going to be miserable.
All right, so
That's the bad news.
That's
We'll
when
start off with the bad news and then you can
okay.
all the good news.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess with every good there is some bad to be considered, and with every bad there's some good to be considered. And just I guess our approach here, just for the fun of it, we've been. I've been in this business myself, and we're here with James Cromwell. Hi, James. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
A renowned actor and very, very good actor.
Thank you.
And a prominent person in the world who has spoken his mind on many concerns, I will say, and that you have, and just played good old things in life. So I've followed you a bit because actually I started in the CBS land in 1972. And I, for whatever reason, my wife and I traveled cross country from our New York roots and got a job in Television City. And the reason I got into the business, I'm just giving this lead in because I can't believe I have some association with you, is that there was a show, I got at school up in Connecticut, and there was a show called All in the Family. And that show to me, I actually grew up in the shoe business, but I was a musician and I like show business, all right? And so sometimes I wish I was in the shoe business. If not often.
I know the feeling.
The thing here was that there was a show, and because this gentleman named Norman Lear lived in Connecticut, in the Hartford area, All in the Family. I got the All in the Family bug. I said, I like entertainment shows, but I also like this show. This, show is showing, entertainment, but education at the same time. You learn all these kinds of things about what humanity was about. He had these very smart writers, probably from Brooklyn, I believe from Brooklyn, and,
It's a Caesar show.
And it's a Caesar show, right? Okay, and these people, just knew what life was about, and he made fun of this one, and made fun of that one. Those was in the days when you could make fun of everybody, okay? Because everybody's actually, in my mind, worth making fun of, especially me. So, with that in mind, and for however you were on that show, right? Was that and that was your first show in
First
in
one
show
in
business?
Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah. So
We don't actually
Stretch
call it
Cunningham.
theater show business. I had been in the theater 10 years, but that's called a theater. It's
Okay.
when you go to Hollywood, now you're in show business.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
the emphasis on the business.
I always say there's
exactly.
a business side of that, and then you evolved magnificently. Congratulations on your wonderful career.
Lucky fella.
Well,
I owe a lot mostly to Norman.
Oh, is that so?
Norman, I did almost all of Norman's shows. Norman loves actors. He was very fond of me, and I of him. And they were good shows. It was hectic. He has a particular idea about how a show should be done, and it's very nerve-making. But it was a good place to learn. Made the rest of it possible. And so that was my first show that I auditioned for, I got. Then I got auditioned for my first movie, I got that movie. And I auditioned for my first commercial and got that commercial.
Well,
Never did another one.
Well, that show, I just a little show business thing that I learned back early on because it was like my first big project. I was an assistant manager at studios, Television City. Okay, so I got to work on the Carol Burnett's and the many different kinds of shows that were happening in Sonny and Cher, all those, heyday CBS shows. But what I always remembered about the Norman Lear shows, and then we had Good Times and Maud, and we had some of those in there as well in the studios, was first the director, John Rich. I remember this director as a director. You knew,
John?
You did what, sort of like had to be what he sort of wanted to get done. It was just serious business. It was serious stuff. I'm sure like the theater. You had a mark, hit it. And that was like an early on, 40 plus years ago, introduction. And obviously you had the theater background, and it just, it's work, right?
Yeah, it's the best work. When you get it, it's the best work there is, because it's your dream, and it is about self-expression, and it's incredibly focused, and you actually touch people's lives. You go into their homes, especially when you have television. You're in their home, you're part of the family. They get to know you and care about you, not so much your character, but about who you are, and they of course associate the character with you. So for many years they thought I was Stretch Cunningham, which made it a little difficult in the film industry because there weren't many parts for Stretch Cunningham. But my first movie I played a Frenchman, and for many years they thought I was French. Why James Cromwell should be a Frenchman, I have no idea, but evidently my dialect so convinced them. That was murder by death, and so. But if you stay around, longevity is the key.
Okay. And do you think as an actor also being a good actor, I mean, some people have said that, lots of, some actors really are good listeners to the director. Are you a good listener to the director? Have you been?
No, my teacher said you don't act for a director, and you don't act for a writer, you act for yourself.
Okay.
So sometimes directors really know what they're doing, but I find mostly in Hollywood that directors, if you're showing up and you have an idea about what you want to do, they don't say anything. They just let you do it and they photograph it. If you get stuck, now there are some who can help you when you get stuck, who understand the actor's language, they understand a certain technique that you can use, but many of them who have come from editing or from advertising have no idea when an actor starts to derail, and so they just figure out in their head how they're going to cut around that particular performance and cut that out, and then you flounder, and hopefully you get back on your feet again. It happens to me a lot. So I've learned basically to take care of myself and make my own choices. I always know where I want to be on a set. I know what I want to approach the other person. I've been wrong on many occasions, but you find out really quick.
Oh, this is great. It's great thoughts for young actors to hear this. Thank you very much for sharing that. And then you moved along, and we're eventually going to find out about, you have a movie, and we're going to talk about that movie momentarily. It's an important movie, and you have important support from a man who speaks out for things that are on his mind. One other, let me just ask showbiz kind of a related kind of question, because Helen Mirren won an Academy Award, I believe, because you were on the set.
Helen said that? No, she didn't say that.
I'm saying it because I think what's very also that I've learned in these years, I believe, or what I see, show business is like a whole football team. It's a whole crew. It's a whole team, and every part is important. Every person, every player is important, and the quarterback is only as good as the guard, and the star, the one who has the most words to say in the show, is only as good as the people around them.
Correct.
What do you agree with that?
Absolutely, totally.
Okay, because it's always important. The camera might be on. I like to look at everybody else when the camera is on one person, but I like to look at everybody around the set to see whether they're in it, whether they're in the show. What do you think?
Well, you're old school. You see,
Yes.
as far as the industry is concerned,
I have hair. No.
The money
Somewhere.
is on the guy who makes the money.
Yeah.
He's the one who got the picture made. He's the one that people are going to watch. That's why they came to the theater. They don't want to see some guy, big tall guy in the back going, "Hey, it's me." Hi.
No, no.
No, but in your way, you know, a lot of times you don't get a chance to stretch your stuff in a smaller part, because if you do, you throw the balance of the whole scene. Everything can go out the window. So you try to behave appropriately,
Right.
and hope that somebody notices that you're not just the quiet guy, but you can act. The person can act. I've been very lucky in that regard because I'm really tall, so I sort of stick out. That helps.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's what I mean. You just fit in. You don't take away
No,
from.
no.
You're part of the community.
Yeah, support. We could be called
The
support.
supporting
We're
actor. Supporting actors. And talking about supporting actors, there was a movie called Babe, and I believe you were a supporting actor.
A pig.
Or you were a pig. I don't want.
supported a pig.
You can say it. I'm not going there. But
Truth.
no, I know. So how was that kind of playing that? I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. And
Fun.
it was absolute magic from day one.
Uh-huh.
Mainly because of the heart of the director, Chris Noonan, who was from God. And he got performances not only out of me and Magda Shabansky, but also out of all of those animals. And he photographed it in such a way that you're inside the animal's head and they're really alive. And so I didn't have to do any work at all. All I had to do was react. That's the only direction he gave me for the entire film. I did the first scene. I was supposed to be fixing the gate. He did one take and then he said to me, less, do less. And I thought, wow, that's great. So I just tinkered with it and I did less everything. And it worked out.
Oh, this is good stuff. All right, thank you. All right, let's talk about some of the concerns on our environment. Okay, and I think one of the concerns that you're speaking out for is fracking, I believe, and first of all, maybe give us an idea what actually is fracking for those that might not know.
Well, why doesn't Jamie talk about what that is?
Okay.
Fracking is hydraulic fracturing is a process of extracting natural gas from shale. The gas was trapped in the shale at a certain geologic period of the world, and you drill down about a mile, and then you go sideways for about a mile, and then you put an explosive down there. Sometimes they do it with high pressure water, and sometimes they do it with depleted uranium, and they pulverize the shale, which releases the gas. You are supposed to be able to capture that gas. Then you have to flush the water out of the hole because it has to be refractured. I'm not sure how long, maybe every 5 years it has to be refractured. Now, this of course causes a geologic trauma to the Earth's surface, which is why Oklahoma has as many earthquakes as it does now, the earthquake capital of the world. And they never had earthquakes before because they're taking this water, which is water and sand, and all the chemicals that are put in the fracking fluid, which they will not release the contents of, no matter how hazardous they are, because Dick Cheney put in something called the Halliburton Rule, which exempts them from having to tell people who live in that area what exactly is in that fluid, which is seeping through the fractured shale into their aquifers, coming up in their wells so that they can light their water on fire. Once the gas is captured, not all of it is captured, there's something called fugitive gas, which is methane, which is highly, much more greenhouse effective than CO2. And this gas is then pumped through pipes, which have plenty of leaks, which have a propensity to explode, and through compressor stations, which also release this off-gassing that they have to do, and go to these power plants like where I live, where they are burned to produce electricity that we do not need in New York. They know this, so the electricity is actually going to go on the grid and service other parts of the country. The idea, I'll just finish, the idea of the pipelines is not to build power plants to develop a certain area. They want to build pipelines through all these states, up through New York, Massachusetts, and up into Canada, so that they can liquefy the gas and sell it to Europe, send it to Europe, where it gets 6 times what they can charge here in the United States. But you couldn't get the people of Massachusetts or New York to agree to have their farms taken from them by eminent domain and pipelines put right through their front yard for just the profit of some corporations. So it's sold through a prospectus and through a corporation and through the government and through the licensing agency as necessary in order to develop economically. So all the businesses say, yeah, we want a part of that. So they have a $900 billion project in my town providing electricity that we will not use and New York does not need, because every business has a piece. Somebody supplies the toilet paper, somebody supplies the maintenance, somebody supplies the sanitation, and that's how it's capitalism gone mad.
Okay.
And just to say, I'm glad that he explained a little bit more than what I would have said, because I think that Jamie's been on the front lines of trying to bring awareness to the human impact to what is going on with this issue. I moved up to Sullivan County because I was actually on my way to go to California, and somebody that I met had wanted me to work on an ad campaign that was to bring awareness about fracking, and I didn't know what fracking was. This was about 4 years ago, and so I started to do some research. I went into Pennsylvania, and in the first week of doing research, I was just sobbing hysterically. I mean, I couldn't believe the stories that I was being told, and what was happening to these people. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, and so I made the decision. Instead of moving to California, I decided I can't not do something to tell people, because it felt to me like nobody really knows. Okay, I felt like there was some talk about fracking, but there really wasn't the kind of understanding and knowledge that there should be. So that's why I embarked in this project. And the research that I did in Pennsylvania, several of the people that I became friends with are now no longer with us because of the impact of the poisonous, chemicals that are in the water that we're not even being told. We're not even being told like of half of what is in those chemicals. I mean, they're very serious. It's a very serious thing, and I think people don't understand or realize that it's not just somewhere over there. It's not like, okay, well, it's somewhere in Pennsylvania or somewhere in Texas. It's impacting everyone.
They actually take the water that in Oklahoma they re-inject back into these empty wells. In New York, they're accepting the water from places like Dimock, Pennsylvania, which are trucked up into New York, and it's spread on the roads. They just open up the faucets on the road and spray the roads with this highly toxic chemical, which of course runs.